June 12, 1962. The guards at Alcatraz prison begin their early morning bed check. But something is wrong. 3 cells are empty. On the pillows, plaster heads with real human hair stare blankly into the dark. Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin, gone without a trace. The most famous prison break in American history had just begun. Alcatraz was never meant to be just a prison. It was designed to be the end of the line. Built on a lonely island in the middle of San Francisco Bay, surrounded by frigid waters and powerful currents, it was escape-proof by design. When the prison officially opened in 1934, the United States was in the middle of its Great War on crime, and Alcatraz became the government's ultimate weapon. The inmates? America's most notorious criminals: Al Capone, Machine Gun Kelly, Alvin Creepy Karpis, men too dangerous, too famous, or too slippery for any other prison to hold. For nearly 30 years, Alcatraz would be known as the Rock, a place where hope died, and escape was unthinkable. Frank Morris was no ordinary convict. Brilliant, calculating, and dangerous, he had an IQ said to be higher than Einstein's. But his intelligence was always put to the wrong use: bank robberies, burglaries, and endless escape attempts. By 1960, the authorities had had enough. He was shipped to Alcatraz. Soon after came the Anglin brothers, John and Clarence. They too were seasoned criminals, with a long history of breaking out of prisons. Like Morris, they were sent to the Rock to be broken. But instead, fate brought them together. 3 men, side by side in adjoining cells, and one shared idea: escape. At first, it was just talk. Dreams whispered through steel bars at night. But by December of 1961, those dreams turned into action. The men began working, slowly, silently, and with astonishing patience. One inmate, Alan West, joined their plot. Together, the 4 of them devised what would become one of the most ingenious escapes ever attempted. It started with a discovery. Hidden around the prison, they found old saw blades. Using the motor from a broken vacuum cleaner, they built a crude drill. And night after night, they drilled small holes around the air vents in their cells. Every stroke brought them closer to freedom. But the walls of Alcatraz were thick, and the work took months. To hide the damage, they cleverly covered the holes with painted cardboard and whatever scraps they could find. To the guards, nothing looked unusual. Behind their cells was a hidden utility corridor. And there, the men built a workshop. They created a fake periscope to watch for guards. They carried tools and materials stolen from prison jobs. And slowly, they began constructing the impossible. From more than 50 stolen raincoats, they stitched together life vests and a massive rubber raft, 6 by 14 feet. The seams were sealed using heat from the prison's steam pipes, a process they learned about from magazine articles. They built wooden paddles, and even turned a concertina, an accordion, into an air pump to inflate their raft. Every night, after the last head count, they worked in the shadows. Their escape was becoming real. But how do you escape without the guards noticing? That's where Morris's intelligence shone brightest. Using soap, plaster, paint, and hair stolen from the barbershop, they created lifelike dummy heads. These heads were placed in their beds at night. To a guard glancing into a darkened cell, the prisoners looked sound asleep. In reality, the men were tunneling toward freedom. June 11th, 1962. The plan was ready. That night, Morris and the Anglin brothers slipped through the holes in their cells, crawled into the corridor, and gathered their gear. Alan West tried to follow, but his vent was stuck. He couldn't remove the grill in time. He was left behind, pounding helplessly on the wall. The others climbed the pipes, reached the roof, and pried open a ventilator secured only with a fake bolt made of soap. They slid down a smokestack, crossed the prison yard, and disappeared into the night. At the shoreline, they inflated their raft, climbed inside, and pushed into the dark waters of San Francisco Bay. By dawn, they were gone, and the prison shook with chaos. The morning bed check revealed the truth. 3 empty cells, 3 plaster heads. Guards raised the alarm. The FBI, Coast Guard, and local police launched one of the largest manhunts in California history. But what they found raised more questions than answers. A paddle washed up on Angel Island. A life vest floated ashore. Bits of rubber, thought to be part of the raft, appeared near the Golden Gate Bridge. But no bodies, no footprints, no stolen car. It was as if the men had vanished into thin air. Could they have survived? The water was near freezing. The currents could pull even strong swimmers under. The FBI believed the men drowned, their bodies swept out to sea. But not everyone agreed. Some experts demonstrated that, with the right tide, the raft could have made it to shore. And over the years, rumors spread. Family members claimed to receive postcards and phone calls. A photograph emerged, supposedly showing the Anglin brothers in Brazil. But none of it could ever be proven. For 17 years, the FBI hunted for answers. They investigated leads across the world, but no credible evidence ever surfaced. On December 31, 1979, the FBI officially closed the case. They declared the men likely drowned in the bay. Yet to this day, the U.S. Marshals Service keeps the file open. Because officially, these men are still wanted. The escape from Alcatraz remains one of America's great mysteries. Did Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers die in the icy waters, or did they succeed in the impossible and vanish into freedom? 60 years later, the answer is still unknown. But their story endures, etched into the legend of the Rock.